I've told you 1,000 times, Alexander. I will not allow fortune seekers to approach you during this challenging period, Beatrice Hamilton asserted, smoothing her black Chanel jacket as they stood in the foyer of St. Thomas Church. Rebecca would have wanted me to safeguard you. Alexander Blackwood adjusted his tie, fatigue clear in his gaze. The receiving line concluded 20 minutes prior. Beatrice. I want to go home. Nonsense. Victoria Wellington has expressed a desire to discuss the board position with the Children's Cancer Foundation with you. Rebecca grasped. Not today, he stated resolutely, catching sight of Victoria observing him from across the room, her flawlessly made-up face displaying a rehearsed sympathy. I need some space. The final element you require is space. 3 months have gone by since Rebecca left us. The vultures are circling Alexander. Every woman in Manhattan has her eyes on the widowed millionaire. Alexander took a step back, his jaw clenched. Is that how you see me now, a prize to be won? Meanwhile, in a modest apartment in Washington Heights, Maria Delgado hurried to complete dinner before heading off to her evening shift. Mama, slow down. You're going to choke, Miguel remarked, observing his mother as she rushed to finish her rice and beans. I can't afford to be late again, Mijo. Mrs. Peterson has already given me a stern warning about tardiness. Maria checked her watch and rose to her feet. There's some leftover rice in the pot. Make sure you get some rest and don't burn the midnight oil with your studies. It's finally Friday, Mama. All right. Make sure you don't stay up too late with those video games, she said, planting a gentle kiss on his forehead. I left money for pizza on the counter. You don't need to overwork yourself, Miguel said softly. I could find a job for the weekend. Javier's brother did. No, Maria interrupted decisively. Your responsibility is school. Maintain those grades, and you'll secure that scholarship. She picked up her cleaning uniform from the hook by the door. This is just a phase. Once I complete my accounting degree. You've been saying that for 3 years, Maria sighed. Evening classes require a commitment, particularly when juggling 2 jobs. She glanced at her watch once more. I have to leave now. Don't forget to lock the door. 30 minutes later, Maria swiped her access card at the back entrance of the Blackwood Properties building on Madison Avenue. She slipped out of her street clothes and into her blue uniform in the basement locker room, fastening her name tag before heading to the supervisor's desk. You've got the executive offices tonight, Mrs. Peterson remarked, her gaze fixed on her clipboard. 17th through 20th floors. Begin at the highest point and proceed downward. The executive's floors, but that task typically falls to Gloria. She called in sick once more. Mrs. Peterson's lips pressed together tightly. Keep your hands off the desks.
No readingany documents.
Just take out the trash, vacuum and dust. Got it. Maria nodded and pushed her cart toward the service elevator. She had never been tasked with the upper levels before. The compensation remained unchanged, yet the higher-ups were notorious for their late hours. Gloria grumbled about having to tidy up in the presence of individuals who seemed to disregard her entirely. As the elevator doors slid apart on the 20th floor, Maria was immediately captivated by the stark difference from the lower levels she typically tended to. Luxurious carpet replaced the practical tile, and genuine artwork adorned the walls in place of the usual motivational posters. Wood-paneled walls replaced the dull beige paint. She moved through the floor with purpose, beginning in the vacant offices. The building held an unsettling silence at this hour, with most employees having departed long ago. As she neared the corner office adorned with its grand double mahogany doors, a warm glow seeped from beneath. The nameplate declared, Alexander Blackwood. CEO Maria paused, then rapped gently. A weary voice beckoned. Come in. She pushed the door open to reveal a figure silhouetted against the expansive windows, his back turned to her. Even from a distance, the elegance of his tailored suit and the strength of his broad shoulders were unmistakable. I apologize for interrupting, sir. I can return later to tidy up. He turned, and Maria was taken aback by how youthful he appeared for a CEO, perhaps in his late 30s, and how sorrowful his eyes appeared. No, it's perfectly all right, he replied. I should have departed hours ago, to be honest. He ran a hand through his dark hair. Feel free to continue with your tasks. I'll keep my distance. As Maria maneuvered around the imposing desk with her duster, she couldn't help but notice the framed photo he had been gazing at. A stunning blonde woman with an enchanting smile. That was my late wife, he remarked, meeting her gaze. Maria felt a flush rise to her cheeks. I extend my deepest condolences, sir. He nodded absent-mindedly, collecting documents into a leather portfolio. The silence lingered awkwardly as Maria cleared out his trash can and started to dust the bookshelves. As Alexander Blackwood stepped out of his office an hour later, he hardly registered the presence of the cleaning woman diligently moving about him. Meanwhile, Maria Delgado remained blissfully unaware that the weary man in the corner office was on the brink of disrupting her meticulously organized life. Oh my God! I'm so sorry! Maria exclaimed as the coffee splattered across Alexander Blackwood's pristine white shirt and navy suit jacket. She had turned the corner with her cleaning cart, caught off guard by the presence of someone in the hallway at 11:30 at night. The half-full cup of coffee she had precariously balanced on her cart tipped over, leaving a brown stain that quickly spread across what she immediately recognized as outrageously costly fabric. It's fine, Alexander remarked, his gaze fixed on the damage, displaying an unexpected tranquility. The chill was undeniable. No, it is not acceptable. Your suit. I can pay for the dry cleaning. The moment the words escaped her lips, Maria felt the absurdity of her offer. Her weekly salary likely wouldn't even cover the expense of his tie. A faint twitch appeared at the corners of Alexander's mouth. That won't be necessary, Miss Delgado, Maria Delgado. She fumbled for tissues from her cart, her hands quivering just a bit. Please, allow me to assist. Honestly, it's no trouble at all. He accepted the tissues from her, their fingers grazing momentarily. The perils of burning the midnight oil. Maria observed the weariness marked on his features as he attempted to clean his shirt with little success. Without a second thought, she grabbed a small spray bottle from her cart. This is more effective than water, she clarified. It's merely vinegar and dish soap, yet it removes coffee stains before they have a chance to settle. Alexander arched an eyebrow, but permitted her to spritz a little on his shirt. The blemish swiftly started to diminish. That's quite remarkable, he conceded. Where did you acquire that skill? As a single mother navigating the challenges of raising a teenage son, one becomes quite adept at tackling stubborn stains. Maria felt a wave of relief wash over her as he flashed a smile. I truly apologize. I didn't anticipate anyone would still be present. My driver hasn't shown up either. He's likely dozed off waiting downstairs. Alexander checked his watch. What brings you here at this hour? Night shift. I typically work until 2 a.m., his brow knitted in concern. Every night, Monday through Friday. I also work during the day at an office building downtown. 2 jobs? That sounds tiring, Maria said with a casual shrug. It covers the expenses, and my son's college fund won't grow on its own. How old is your son? Miguel is 16, a junior in high school. She couldn't suppress the pride that seeped into her voice. A top student. He aspires to pursue engineering. Alexander nodded, appearing truly engaged. That's quite remarkable. You must be proud. I am. Maria suddenly became aware that she was engaged in a casual conversation with the CEO of Blackwood Properties, and warmth crept into her cheeks. I should let you get home, Mr. Blackwood, and I need to wrap up this floor. Of course, don't let me hold you back. As she pushed her cart away, he shouted after her. Miss Delgado? She pivoted. What is it? Thank you for the stain removal tip. I'll remember that. The following morning, Maria was almost asleep when her phone rang. She reached for it, squinting at the unfamiliar number. Hello, Ms. Delgado, this is Mrs. Peterson from Reliable Cleaning Services. There's been a situation. Maria sat up, her senses heightened. What transpired? You were assigned to Mr. Blackwood's office last night. Maria felt a sinking sensation in her stomach. Yes, His wedding ring is missing. Security is currently reviewing the footage. You were the final individual in his office. I would never. I'm not accusing you, Mrs. Peterson stated with a rigid demeanor. But you must come in and talk with security. Maria trudged back to the Blackwood building, fear intertwined with fatigue. As she neared the security desk, something caught her eye on the floor by the elevators. She leaned down and retrieved a platinum band, its interior bearing an inscription. The security guard scowled as she drew near. Ms. Delgado, we must. Is this the one? She extended the ring. I happened upon it near the elevators. It must have slipped away when she had collided with Mr. Blackwood. As the coffee cascaded from the cup, the sentinel scrutinized the ring and gave a nod of approval. That's it. Where exactly did you find it? As Maria detailed the story, a woman in a fitted red dress glided over, her high heels echoing decisively against the marble floor. She possessed the refined appearance of an individual who invested heavily in her looks. Excuse me, the woman interjected, regarding Maria with barely masked contempt. I have a meeting with Alexander Blackwood, the security guard said, standing tall. Absolutely, Ms. Wellington. Mr. Blackwood is making his descent. He encountered a problem with a missing item, but I found it, came Alexander's voice from behind them. He gazed at Maria, astonished. Ms. Delgado. Maria extended the ring. It was by the elevators, sir. Where the coffee spilled. Alexander's expression softened as he accepted the ring. Thank you for returning all the way here. He slid it onto his finger. I feared it was gone forever. You're welcome, Mr. Blackwood. The woman in red adjusted her posture. Alexander, my dear, we mustn't dawdle. We're going to be late for our brunch with Beatrice. Victoria. He nodded, his demeanor shifting subtly. I'll just be a moment. He turned back to Maria. Thank you once more, Ms. Delgado. I value your candor. As Maria departed, she sensed Victoria Wellington's stare piercing into her back, evaluating and measuring in a manner that left her profoundly uneasy. Later that evening, as Victoria savored her champagne in her Upper East Side apartment, she perused the details her assistant had gathered on one Maria Delgado, a person who has moved from the Dominican Republic, single mother, night school accounting student. She whispered, how charming. She placed her tablet aside and called a well-known number. Beatrice, it's Victoria. It's time to discuss Alexander. I think he may require our safeguarding more than we understood. You truly excelled, Victoria, Beatrice remarked, taking in the Plaza Hotel ballroom, now adorned with white roses and crystal chandeliers. Rebecca would have adored this. Victoria Wellington received the praise with a practiced modesty. Her heart was devoted to the Children's Cancer Foundation. I'm simply carrying on her legacy. She made a slight adjustment to the centerpiece, and making sure Alexander stays in touch with the right individuals as he navigates his grief. As Alexander came to mind, Beatrice's eyes wandered to the entrance, where her son-in-law fidgeted with his bow tie, a hint of discomfort evident in his demeanor. He nearly declined to attend. He mentioned that he had professional obligations. Victoria's smile grew tense. Well, he's here now. Let me go welcome him. Across town, Maria hurried through her apartment, deftly applying mascara while sliding into black pants. You look nice, Miguel remarked from the doorway. Where are you headed? Just a last-minute catering gig, a fancy event at the plaza. She fumbled with her hair, attempting to twist it into a tidy bun. The agency reached out an hour back. There was an illness and they're offering double pay. On a Saturday evening? Do you never take a break? Maria brushed her lips against his cheek in a fleeting moment as she rushed by. A little extra cash gives you some space to breathe, Mijo. There's some chicken left in the fridge. I can take care of myself, Mama. Miguel rolled his eyes. I'm 16, not 6. Then act like it and do your calculus homework. At the plaza, Maria was given rush directions by a frazzled catering manager. Pass around the champagne. Offer a courteous smile. Refrain from engaging guests in conversation. She was instructed as a tray was thrust into her hands. Affluent patrons seek service, not your personal narrative. Maria nodded and stepped into the ballroom, instantly engulfed by the lavishness surrounding her. Women adorned with exquisite jewels, while men in elegant tuxedos engaged in conversations about stock portfolios. She navigated the throng with precision, presenting champagne while striving to blend into the background. An hour into her shift, Maria slipped away to a secluded corner to exchange her empty tray for a fresh one. As she pivoted to step back into the throng, she almost bumped into another person. "We must cease our encounters in such a manner," a well-known voice remarked. Maria glanced up, her cheeks flushed with embarrassment as she beheld Alexander Blackwood, impeccably attired in a tuxedo, grinning down at her. "Mr. Blackwood, I deeply apologize. At least you're not holding coffee this time." His smile appeared sincere, a refreshing contrast to the rehearsed expressions she had noticed on other guests. "What brings you here?" "I'm on duty, sir." She indicated her uniform and tray. "Extra job. Night cleaning and weekend catering? When do you sleep?" "Sleep is overrated," she replied impulsively, then felt a flush of embarrassment at her casualness. Alexander chuckled, a genuine laugh that lit up his features. "I've been telling myself the same thing for months." "Alexander, darling." Victoria appeared beside him, slipping her arm through his. "You seem to have vanished. The Morgensterns inquired about you." She shot a dismissive look at Maria. "Thank you. At this moment we have everything we require." "Actually," Alexander said, gently taking Victoria's hand from his arm, "I was having a conversation." Victoria's eyes widened slightly as she scrutinized Maria more closely. Understanding emerged. "Aren't you the cleaning woman from Alexander's building?" "Maria Delgado," Alexander provided. "She discovered my wedding ring." "How resourceful." Victoria's smile was devoid of warmth. "But surely she needs to attend to her duties, and you have guests waiting." Before Alexander could reply, Victoria inadvertently nudged Maria's arm, causing champagne flutes to shatter on the floor and drench Maria's uniform with liquid. "Oh dear," Victoria exclaimed with a dramatic flair. "How utterly clumsy of me." All conversations in the vicinity came to a halt as guests shifted their attention to gaze. Maria stood still, her face flushed with embarrassment as champagne trickled down her sleeve. "Allow me to assist," Alexander murmured, reaching for napkins from a nearby table. "No, please," Maria replied softly. "You're a guest. I'll take care of it." "Victoria," Alexander said with a hint of irritation, "maybe you could locate the catering manager and clarify what occurred." For just a fleeting moment, Victoria's flawless demeanor faltered. "Surely the staff can manage a small spill?" "I insist," he replied, his tone brooking no dissent. As Victoria stormed away, Alexander assisted Maria in picking up the shattered glass. "You really don't need to go through with this," Maria remarked, keenly sensing the weight of inquisitive gazes around her. "You're making a scene." "I don't care," he replied. Yet, the taut line of his jaw hinted at a different truth. Once the chaos was tidied up, Alexander escorted Maria to the service area. "I can arrange for my driver to take you home." "Your uniform is ruined." "No, thank you. The subway is perfectly acceptable. The clock is nearing midnight." "I take the subway at 2 a.m. after my cleaning shift," she reminded him. "I'll be fine," Alexander said with a furrowed brow. "Please, allow me to cover your taxi fare." "Mr. Blackwood," Maria said with conviction, "you're being quite generous, but I don't require charity." "It's not charity, it's—" He paused, appearing to grapple with his thoughts. "This is an expression of regret regarding Victoria's conduct. You aren't to blame for what she does." Maria forced a smile. "Return to your celebration. I'll be fine." As she changed out of her damp uniform in the staff bathroom, Maria couldn't shake the thoughts of Alexander's kindness and the sharp, calculating gaze of Victoria Wellington when she realized her. Later that night, Alexander settled into his penthouse, cradling a glass of scotch as he reflected on the events of the evening. His phone vibrated, signaling a message from Beatrice. Victoria spoke of an unfortunate incident with the waitstaff. Remember your position, Alexander. Rebecca would want you to maintain certain standards. He set his phone down in silence and moved to the windows that framed Central Park. For the first time in months, he experienced a true connection with someone. Not due to his wealth or what he could offer, but because Maria Delgado regarded him as a person, not merely a trophy to be claimed. Tomorrow, he resolved, he would delve deeper into the cleaning woman with the sincere gaze and her homemade stain remover. You wish to examine the personnel file of a cleaning contractor? Harold Myers, the HR director at Blackwood Properties, blinked in bewilderment. May I inquire why, sir? Alexander kept a calm demeanor, simply inquiring about a security issue regarding the missing ring. However, security has cleared that incident. The ring was located and returned. Indulge me, Harold. 5 minutes later, Alexander perused Maria Delgado's file in the solitude of his office. A proud immigrant from the Dominican Republic, now a naturalized citizen and a dedicated single mother. I earned my high school diploma through night classes and am currently a student at CUNY, pursuing a degree in accounting. Excellent work evaluations. He closed the file. A concept beginning to form. 2 days later, Maria found herself called to Mrs. Peterson's office. You're being reassigned, the supervisor declared bluntly. Maria felt a wave of despair wash over her. Is this regarding the incident at the plaza? Maria asked, her voice trailing off. This isn't disciplinary, Mrs. Peterson interjected, a hint of confusion crossing her face. You've been requested for a part-time position in the Blackwood Properties accounting department during business hours. Maria stared in disbelief. I don't understand. Neither do I, Mrs. Peterson admitted. But it seems that someone took note of your educational background. The role accommodates your class schedule and offers double your current pay. What about my night shift? You can hold on to it if you wish, though I fail to understand your reasoning for doing so. My son's college fund, Maria replied instinctively. I can't afford to lose income. Mrs. Peterson arched an eyebrow. Your choice. Report to the 15th floor tomorrow at 9 a.m. Ask for Ms. Winters. That evening, Maria paced her small living room, explaining the situation to Miguel. So I'd work in accounting during the day, take classes in the evening, and still do night cleaning some nights to keep building our savings. That's crazy, Mama. You'll collapse. It's just a phase. The day job pays better, he said, crossing his arms, and gives me actual accounting experience. Doesn't this seem strange to you? The enigmatic job proposal, after your encounter with the CEO, at that upscale gathering. Maria ceased her pacing. How did you find out about that? Javier's cousin is involved in the catering business. He mentioned the millionaire who assisted the cleaning lady. Miguel's expression turned somber. Is this person troubling you? No, Mr. Blackwood has been nothing short of professional. She sat next to her son. This is a great opportunity, Mijo. A foot in the door. If you say so, Miguel replied, skepticism lacing his words. The following morning, Maria arrived on the 15th floor, where a sharp woman named Diane Winters welcomed her and introduced her to the accounting team. You'll be assisting with the accounts receivable, Diane clarified. Harold mentions to me, you're studying accounting. Yes, at Kunway. I'm halfway through the program. Good. This will be practical experience to complement your studies. By the end of her first week, Maria had found her groove. Her coworkers were welcoming, though slightly intrigued by her swift onboarding. She sometimes caught sight of Alexander in the corridors or elevator, where he acknowledged her with a polite nod and little else. Meanwhile, on the Upper East Side, Victoria Wellington sat opposite Beatrice in a posh tea room. He's avoiding me, Victoria lamented, swirling her Darjeeling. I turned down 3 dinner invitations this month. Alexander has always been quite stubborn, Beatrice sighed. Rebecca had a way of managing him, but I'm at a loss. What about that woman who cleans? My sources inform me, she said, setting down her cup, that she's now engaged in accounting. What? Alexander failed to bring this up. Alexander doesn't share much with us anymore. Victoria leaned in closer. I'm hosting a dinner party next weekend, key investors, board members, and I've arranged for the perfect dinner companion for Alexander. Who? Sophia Hartwell, just returned from Paris. Old money, impeccable taste, and most importantly, she was Rebecca's friend from boarding school. Beatrice's expression softened. Rebecca adored Sophia. Exactly. Alexander found it difficult to decline the invitation to reconnect with his late wife's cherished friend. The next Thursday, he made an unexpected visit to the accounting department. He paused at Maria's desk, where she was focused intently on spreadsheets. How are you settling in MS? Delgado? Maria looked up, taken aback. Very well. Thank you, sir. Blackwood. Good. I heard you discovered a mistake in the West Side development accounts. Just a minor discrepancy in the utility allocations, she remarked, taken aback that he was aware of it. Diane said you stayed late to fix it. Your dedication is appreciated. A curious glance from a nearby coworker reminded Maria of their audience. Thank you, sir. Alexander appeared to acknowledge the attention as well. Actually, I came down because we're assembling a team for the Brighton Marina project. Diane suggested you for the financial projections. Me? But I've only been here 2 weeks. A fresh perspective can be valuable, he said as he handed her a folder. The team gathers on Tuesday at 2 p.m. should you wish to join. Once he departed, Maria perused the folder to uncover information regarding a luxury marina project, accompanied by a significant bonus for the team. Later that evening, she returned home to discover Miguel waiting with an inquisitive look. Mr. Blackwood has called for you. He's not my anything, Maria corrected automatically. And why would he call here? He mentioned that he tried your cell, but was unable to get through to you. Miguel raised a note. It mentions that a meeting has been rescheduled to Monday. Maria checked her phone and found it dead. My battery. Did he say anything else? He inquired about the progress of my college applications. Maria stood still. What? Yeah. It appeared he was aware. I'm interested in engineering. Miguel folded his arms. Have you been discussing me with your boss? We had a single conversation where I brought up your interest in studying engineering. Maria confessed. Just like that? While tidying up his workspace? It wasn't quite that way. Then what was it like, Mama? Because Javier says. I don't care what Javier says, Maria snapped. Mr. Blackwood extended a job offer that aligns with my education and offers a better salary. That's the main concern. However, as she went over the Marina project documents later, Maria found herself questioning whether Miguel's suspicions were justified. The role, the invitation to join the project team. These opportunities weren't usually extended to newcomers, particularly those lacking degrees. Why was Alexander Blackwood taking an interest in her career? And what would happen when Victoria Wellington discovered her new role, went beyond basic accounting tasks? We did it, Alexander exclaimed, as the Brighton Marina investors filed out of the conference room. They approved the full funding package. The project team burst into applause, as 6 weeks of intense preparation had led to this moment, where their financial projections and design concepts captivated the notoriously discerning investors. Maria couldn't help but smile at the team's enthusiasm, but she remained seated, organizing her presentation materials. She had played a crucial role in the financial models, pinpointing cost efficiencies that bolstered their proposal. This calls for a celebration, Alexander declared. Dinner at Del Posto tonight on me. As the team dispersed excitedly, Maria hesitated. An upscale dinner meant time away from Miguel and her evening class. Alexander approached her desk. "You're coming tonight, right? We couldn't have done this without your projections." "I have class," she explained. "What about Miguel?" he asked. "Just skip one class," he suggested. "You've earned this celebration, Maria." She noticed he'd switched to her first name, something he did increasingly in their professional interactions. "Your team deserves to celebrate with you," she countered. "I was just doing my job." "Our team," he corrected firmly. "Including you." 2 hours later, Maria found herself seated at a table in one of New York's most exclusive restaurants, feeling distinctly out of place despite her work attire. She had called Miguel, who had sounded oddly pleased about her dinner plans. "Go have fun, Mama," he had said. "I've got some lasagna from last night and calculus to keep me entertained." At the restaurant, Alexander had arranged for her to sit beside him. As the team celebrated with expensive wine and elaborate courses, Maria observed him in this setting, confident and engaged, occasionally revealing flashes of genuine humor beneath his professional demeanor. "You're quiet," he observed, during the dessert course, while others were absorbed in their own discussions. "Just taking it all in," she confessed. "This isn't my typical environment." "Neither do I," he said surprisingly. "I lean towards simpler places." She arched an eyebrow in disbelief. "It's the truth," he affirmed. Rebecca was the life of the party. She flourished at gatherings like Victoria's charity gala. "I often felt as though I was merely acting." The reference to his late wife softened Maria's demeanor. "You must feel her absence deeply." A hint of vulnerability flickered across his face. "Every day, but lately—" He paused. "Recently, I've begun to sense a return to my true self. Work now holds significance that transcends mere distraction." Their gazes intertwined, and Maria experienced a thrill of something perilous. Before she could respond, his phone chimed. Alexander checked it, and his expression darkened. "Is everything all right?" she inquired. "It's just Beatrice. Another dinner invitation this week. She and Victoria have been alternating in their efforts to keep me busy with social commitments." "You ought to leave," Maria said softly. "Family holds great significance. Beatrice has good intentions, but her version of assistance involves showcasing eligible socialites right in front of me." He tucked his phone away. "Speaking of which, I have tickets to the Met exhibition opening next Saturday. Would you like to go?" Maria stared at him. "Me? The accountant who salvaged our marina project," he specified. Yet there was an unspoken depth in his gaze that hinted at something beyond. "I don't think that's appropriate," she said with caution. "It's an art exhibition, Maria, not a date." Yet, they both understood that it had crossed the boundary from professional to personal. After a moment, Maria surprised herself by nodding. "I've never been to the Met." Alexander's sincere smile caused her heart to flutter uneasily. On Saturday, Miguel observed with a hint of skepticism as his mother attempted to find the right look for her third outfit. "Not a date yet, I see," he teased. "It's a museum, Miguel. People frequently visit museums. But do they go with their bosses? On weekends?" Maria turned a deaf ear to him, finally settling on a simple blue dress, her one good piece of clothing, usually reserved for special occasions. Alexander met her at the museum entrance, dressed casually in slacks and a sweater that probably cost more than her monthly rent. He led her through the exhibition, his expertise in art catching her off guard. "My mother was an art teacher," he explained when she commented on it. "She dragged me to museums every weekend growing up." As they moved through the galleries, Maria found herself relaxing, asking questions and sharing opinions. Alexander listened with keen interest, responding thoughtfully to her observations. Later, they wandered through Central Park, where the autumn leaves formed a golden canopy overhead. "Share with me the story of Miguel," Alexander inquired. "He appeared to be quite protective when I reached out to your home." Maria smiled fondly. "He's always been my little guardian." His father passed away when he was 7. A construction accident. Since then, it's been us against the world. That's the reason you put in so much effort for him. For both of us, she said. I want him to have opportunities one didn't, and I want to finish what I started with my own education. Alexander nodded thoughtfully. You're truly exceptional. Did you realize that? I'm merely following in the footsteps of countless parents, she replied modestly. No, what you're doing is extraordinary. He stopped walking, turning to face her. Maria, Alexander Blackwood. A piercing voice cut through the air. What a delightful coincidence. Victoria Wellington approached, immaculately dressed for what was clearly not a casual park stroll. Beside her walked a stunning blonde woman. Victoria, Alexander greeted with a certain formality. Sophia. I didn't know you were back from Paris. Just returned, the blonde woman replied, kissing Alexander's cheek familiarly. Beatrice insisted. I will call you. But you've been so busy. Victoria's gaze shifted to Maria, piercing with understanding. And who's your companion? Maria Delgado, Alexander said smoothly. From our accounting department, we're discussing the marina project. On a Saturday, in the park, Victoria's smile was razor thin. What a remarkable display of dedication from both of you. Sophia intertwined her arm with Alexander's. You simply have to join us for dinner, Alex. We're meeting Beatrice at La Grenouille for old time's sake. Maria observed a complex array of emotions flicker across Alexander's face. Reluctance, obligation, and resignation. You should go, she said quietly. I need to get home to Miguel anyway. Maria, thank you for the exhibition, Mr. Blackwood. It was educational. She stepped back, rebuilding professional distance. I'll see you Monday. As Maria walked away, she heard Victoria's carrying voice. Honestly, Alexander, there are suitable methods to guide staff without resorting to weekend trips. On Monday morning, Maria came into the office to find her workspace adorned with a small, framed print from the exhibition they had attended. A painting she had especially appreciated. The card simply stated, educational experiences shouldn't end abruptly. She swiftly concealed the gift into her drawer as Diane neared with a pile of files. Diane informed her that the Marina team is being highlighted in the company newsletter. They are requesting individual photos this afternoon. That evening, Miguel discovered his mother lost in contemplation, gazing intently at the small framed print that now occupied a place on their humble bookshelf. Nice picture, he remarked. New, a token of appreciation. For the project. Miguel examined his mother's expression. You have feelings for him, don't you? It's complicated, Mijo. Because he's rich and you're not. Miguel shook his head. That's quite the antiquated perspective, Mama. It's not merely that. There are standards, facades, eyes observing, and critiquing. Since when have you been concerned about others' opinions? Maria let out a weary sigh. Given that my personal decisions might influence my career prospects, and yours as well. However, later that evening, as she got ready for her cleaning shift, Maria caught herself pausing over a text from Alexander. Dinner dragged on. I wished you had stayed. The park offered far superior companionship. She typed and deleted 3 responses before finally sending. The painting is beautiful. Thank you. His reply came seconds later. There's a Dominican festival in Washington Heights next weekend. Perhaps you could enlighten me for once. Maria gazed at the message, aware that her response would decide if they persisted in traversing boundaries neither had openly recognized. After a long moment, she typed, Saturday at noon. I'll text you the address. How dare they? Maria slammed the tabloid onto her kitchen table. Millionaire mogul's maid mistress, screamed the headline above a grainy photo of Alexander, helping her into his car after the Dominican festival. Miguel glanced over her shoulder at the smaller photos. Maria and Alexander were sharing tostines at her favorite local restaurant, walking through her neighborhood, laughing together at the festival. "This is bad," Miguel said quietly. "It's worse than bad." Maria's hands trembled. "They make it sound as if I'm attempting to." She couldn't complete her thought. The piece referenced sources familiar with the widower, asserting that Maria had intentionally sought out Alexander after their initial encounter when she was employed as his cleaning lady, implying she viewed him as a means to escape her financial struggles. Meanwhile, Maria's phone vibrated continuously with notifications from her colleagues. Even Mrs. Peterson had called, asking if the situation would affect her night shifts. "What are you going to do?" Miguel asked. Before she could respond, the phone rang once more. Alexander's name flashed on the screen. "Maria, I'm truly sorry," he said right away when she picked up. "My lawyers are already taking action against the publisher. These photos, they've been tracking our every move." "Tracking us? For how long?" "I'm not sure. Victoria must have." "Victoria?" Maria interrupted. "Do you believe she was responsible for this?" "Who else? She's been attempting to dictate my social life ever since Rebecca passed away." Maria shut her eyes, the weight of her circumstances overwhelming her. "It doesn't matter who did it. Individuals tend to accept what aligns with their own beliefs." "We haven't done anything wrong," Alexander insisted. "Haven't we?" Maria's voice faltered. "You hold the title of a millionaire CEO. I'm the one who cleans your building at night. We both understood what this would look like." "Maria, I have to protect my son," she interrupted him. "And my job." "Your job is secure." "I would never." "It's not just about you," Maria snapped. "Do you believe anyone in accounting will hold me in high regard now? They'll all assume I used my charm to get that role." The quiet on the other end revealed that Alexander hadn't thought about this angle. "I'm submitting my resignation," she said finally. "From both positions. Please don't. We can fix this." "Some things can't be fixed, Alexander." She used his first name intentionally, acknowledging what they'd become to each other. "Our worlds are too different. I was foolish to forget that." Before he could respond, she hung up and blocked his number. 3 weeks later, Maria had settled into a new routine. A small accounting firm in Queens had brought her on board, captivated by her academic achievements and the endorsement from her CUNY professor. The commute was longer, yet the atmosphere felt more relaxed. She had given up her night cleaning job, tightening their budget, but maintaining her sanity. Miguel had navigated the harsh currents of school gossip regarding his mother, who was unfairly labeled a gold digger, and had come out on the other side with an unexpected sense of maturity. "You did nothing wrong," he affirmed one evening as they shared a meal. "Those wealthy individuals and their antics." Maria nodded absently, pushing rice around her plate. Though she had never admitted to Miguel, she missed Alexander. Not his wealth or status, but their conversations, his unexpected humor, the way he listened when she spoke. "He called me, you know," Miguel said suddenly. Maria's head jerked upward. "What? When?" "Last week. I was asked how I was holding up with everything." "Miguel, why didn't you share this with me?" He simply shrugged. "You blocked his number, so I assumed you didn't want to discuss him." "What else did he say?" "He asked if we needed anything. I assured him that we were okay." Miguel observed his mother. "He sounded sorrowful, Mama. He mentioned that he respected your choice, but he longed for your viewpoint on matters." Maria swallowed the sudden lump in her throat. "It doesn't matter. This is the preferable approach." 2 days later, Maria received an unexpected visitor at her office. Beatrice Hamilton, immaculately dressed and strikingly out of place in the modest Queen's building. "Mrs. Hamilton," Maria said with a hint of hesitation. "How did you find me?" "I have resources," Beatrice said dismissively. "May we speak privately?" In a small conference room, Beatrice observed Maria with a keen gaze. Alexander is miserable, she stated plainly. Preoccupied, restless. The board is concerned. I'm sorry to hear that, but I don't see how it concerns me. Don't act innocent, Ms. Delgado. It doesn't suit you. Beatrice set her designer handbag down on the table. I have a proposal for you. An offer? Financial compensation. In return for your complete discretion and separation from my son-in-law. Maria gazed at her in disbelief. You believe I desire your wealth? Everyone craves wealth, particularly those who lack it. Beatrice pulled out a checkbook. State your offer. Maybe for your child's schooling, then. Mrs. Hamilton, Maria said carefully, controlling her anger. I resign to protect my professional reputation and my son's well-being, not for a payoff. So noble, Beatrice said with a thin smile. Yet you pursued a grieving widower. I pursued nothing. Maria's composure faltered. We were two adults who appreciated each other's presence. No hidden agendas. No plots. She rose. I have no interest in your money. Please go. He was happier with you, Beatrice admitted suddenly, her voice softer. I haven't seen him that engaged since before Rebecca's diagnosis. The confession startled Maria. Then why? Because happiness isn't everything, Beatrice interjected. Alexander bears responsibilities, a legacy to maintain. Rebecca understood that. She gathered her belongings. But perhaps I misjudged you, Ms. Delgado. Good day. The following weekend, Maria attended Miguel's school science fair, where his project on sustainable urban housing had advanced to the finals. As she meandered through the exhibits, a voice she recognized caused her to halt. The structural elements are especially striking, Alexander remarked to Miguel at his station. Have you thought about architecture in addition to engineering? Maria moved forward with care. Alexander, what brings you here? His expression shifted to one of hope intertwined with uncertainty. Nurturing potential, engineering talent. Miguel glanced between them. I extended the invitation, Mama. My project incorporates ideas from one of his developments. Miguel, you shouldn't have. Actually, I'm glad he did, Alexander interrupted. I've missed you, Maria. Miguel skillfully distanced himself to converse with his teacher, leaving them in an uncomfortable closeness. You look well, Alexander said softly. So do you, she deceived. Up close, she could perceive the shadows beneath his eyes, the tension in his expression. Maria, what transpired with the tabloids? This is precisely why this cannot succeed, she concluded. Our worlds are too different. That's not a real reason, he challenged. That's the voice of fear. It's reality, she insisted. I forged my path through relentless effort and unwavering resolve. A single tabloid article portrayed me as nothing more than a gold digger aiming for a wealthy widower. I don't care what they say, but I do, and Miguel does. He had to face his classmates after those photos. Alexander's expression became gentler. He's more resilient than you realize. He mentioned that you're the one who's truly suffering. Just as Maria was about to reply, the fire alarm at the school erupted into sound. As chaos unfolded, Maria's instincts took over. She guided students toward the exits, but soon noticed that the elderly security guard, who had been positioned near the back hallway, was nowhere to be found. Mr. Guzman, she called, breaking away from the crowd. He may not have heard the alarm. She hurried down the dwindling hallway, with Alexander trailing closely behind. Amidst the swirling smoke, they discovered the elderly guard, bewildered and gasping for air. Together, they assisted him outside, where paramedics took charge. As the chaos settled, Alexander pulled Maria aside. You didn't even hesitate, he said softly. That's who you are, Maria. Someone who prioritizes the needs of others. That's why he paused, catching himself. That's what I've missed most. Before Maria could respond, a familiar figure approached them. "Well," said Beatrice Hamilton, looking between them with an unreadable expression. "It appears certain ties are unyielding, despite our attempts. You have no authority to meddle in my affairs, Beatrice," Alexander stated, his tone subdued yet resolute, as they faced each other in the school parking lot. "Not any longer." Beatrice's eyes moved to Maria. "She mentioned my visit to you." "No," Alexander replied. "Miguel did." Maria gazed at her son, who lingered a few feet away, feigning disinterest. He shrugged with an air of indifference. "I understand." Beatrice adjusted her already pristine jacket. "It appears I've underestimated a few matters." To Maria's astonishment, Beatrice's demeanor gentled just a bit. Rebecca often remarked, "I was overly focused on appearances." Maybe she had a point. An uneasy quiet enveloped the three adults until Miguel stepped forward, the science fair medal glinting around his neck. "I won second place," he declared, easing the tension. "Congratulations," Beatrice said automatically, then appeared truly impressed as she observed his project display being executed by the teachers. "Urban sustainability? That's quite ambitious," Miguel explained, his usual guardedness temporarily forgotten in the pride of his accomplishment. "Columbia offers a remarkable program," Beatrice remarked. "My late husband was an engineering professor at that institution." As Miguel and Beatrice engaged in an unexpected conversation about engineering programs, Alexander turned to Maria. "We need to talk," he said quietly. "Really talk. No running away this time." Maria hesitated, then nodded. "Not here, not now. Tomorrow? Coffee? Neutral ground," she concurred with a subtle smile. The following day, they gathered at a quaint cafe, positioned midway between their residences, a departure from Alexander's typical upscale Manhattan venues and Maria's familiar local joints. As they settled in with their beverages, the initial tension gradually faded away. "I stepped down from the board of Rebecca's foundation," Alexander began. Victoria was not pleased. "What made you think that was a good idea?" "Because I came to understand I was inhabiting a life that wasn't my own." He rotated his coffee cup with deliberation. "After Rebecca passed away, I allowed Beatrice and Victoria to envelop me in this world of galas and social duties, because it was simpler than confronting what I truly desired. And what is it that you want?" Maria asked softly. "To stop feeling guilty for being alive when Rebecca isn't," he admitted. "To seek significance beyond merely amassing greater riches. To be with someone who truly understands me, not merely what I symbolize." Maria's heart raced, yet she kept her poise. "Alexander, everything remains the same. The world we inhabit has transformed me," he interjected. "Encountering you altered my path. I refuse to revert to the person you initially knew." The weary CEO, gazing at his late wife's picture in the stillness of night. "I'm not asking you to change who you are," Maria said with a measured tone. "However, we must remain grounded. Your reality comes with specific demands. I don't care about their expectations." "You say that now, but Maria," Alexander leaned forward. "When those tabloid photos came out, do you know what bothered me most? Not the invasion of privacy or the gossip. You vanished from my life, and in that moment, everything lost its significance once more." His unfiltered truth left her speechless. "I'm not seeking guarantees," he pressed on. "Just an opportunity to explore if we can create something genuine without pretense or haste. No job offers, no extravagant gifts, just the two of us taking the time to truly understand one another." After a lengthy pause, Maria nodded. "Take your time," she stressed, "and Miguel has the final say." Alexander's authentic smile spoke volumes. Over the following months, they rebuilt their connection on new foundations. Alexander joined them for dinner at Maria's apartment, where he learned to make mango under Miguel's critical instruction. Maria attended business functions with Alexander, now introduced simply as Maria, rather than tied to any professional role. Beatrice, to everyone's surprise, emerged as an unexpected ally after witnessing Alexander slowly rediscover himself, laughing more often, connecting more genuinely, unearthing a sense of purpose beyond mere obligation. "He's different with you?" she confided to Maria one afternoon, as they unexpectedly found themselves together at Miguel's school presentation, more like the young man Rebecca first fell in love with, before illness and societal expectations transformed them both. When Maria completed her accounting degree that spring, Alexander attended the graduation ceremony alongside Miguel, both cheering embarrassingly loud when her name was called. Instead of offering her a position at his company, Alexander introduced her to former classmates who had started their own accounting firm, focusing on immigrant-owned small businesses. "They need a partner with your skills," he explained. "No strings attached to me." As summer approached, Alexander invited Maria and Miguel to his beach house in the Hamptons, a test of how they might navigate his world without losing themselves. "Your house has its own beach," Miguel remarked with a hint of sarcasm as they pulled up. "Is it too much?" Alexander inquired, his brow furrowed with genuine concern. Maria laughed. "Just don't expect us to suddenly become different people just because the zip code changed." "That's exactly why I brought you here," Alexander replied, "to remind me what matters." That evening, as Miguel explored the beach, Alexander and Maria walked along the shoreline. "I've been thinking about Rebecca a lot lately," he said unexpectedly. Maria tensed slightly, but he took her hand reassuringly. "Not in the same way as before," he clarified. "I came to understand that I was clinging to a perfect version of her, not the actual person. What was she truly like? Complex, exceptional, at times challenging." His smile held a touch of melancholy. "She despised pretension, yet navigated the social landscape with finesse. I always believed we had to leverage our influence to bring about genuine transformation, rather than merely donating money." Maria absorbed his words, no longer intimidated by his history. "She would have appreciated you," Alexander went on. "Your resolve, your genuineness." "I wish I could have known her," Maria said with genuine feeling. Alexander halted his steps and turned to her, the setting sun bathing the water in a golden glow. "I love you, Maria," he said with sincerity, "not because you stand apart from Rebecca or resemble her in any way, but simply because you are who you are, unyielding, steadfast, compassionate. You brought me back to life when I was merely existing." Maria's breath caught. They had skillfully sidestepped those words until this moment. "I love you too," she confessed, "despite my best efforts to resist." Later that summer, as Maria prepared dinner in her cozy kitchen, Alexander emerged beside her, holding a small velvet box. "Is that what I believe it to be?" she asked, her hands frozen mid-chop, cilantro scattered around her. "Not exactly," he replied, opening it to reveal a simple key. "It's to a new apartment, 3 bedrooms near Miguel's university." "Alexander, we've talked about this. I can't accept." "It's not a gift," he interjected. "It's an invitation to build a home together." From the doorway, Miguel cleared his throat. "I approved the location," he declared. "Solid security, convenient commute to Columbia." Maria glanced between them. "Did you two orchestrate this?" "He asked for my permission," Miguel confirmed, making an effort to sound nonchalant despite his clear approval. "Very traditional." "And," Maria prompted, "I told him you'd say it was too soon." Miguel grinned, "But that you would agree regardless." 3 weeks later, as they packed Maria's small apartment, Alexander pulled a worn envelope from his pocket. "What's this?" Maria inquired, her curiosity piqued. He explained, "This is the initial version of my resignation letter. I'm taking a step back from the daily operations at Blackwood Properties." Maria looked at him in disbelief. "You have such a passion for that company. It was constructed by your father." And I almost lost myself in it, he replied. I'm not stepping away entirely. I'm simply transitioning to the role of chairman instead of CEO. It's time for new challenges, he explained, such as the repurposing of the Rebecca Blackwood Foundation, a renewed emphasis on educational prospects for immigrants and first-generation Americans. We require a leader who comprehends both realms. Maria's eyes grew wide. You want me to lead it? Only if you wish to. Your accounting firm would miss you, but... She silenced him with a kiss. The moving boxes momentarily set aside. That autumn, as they began to acclimate to their new surroundings, Victoria Wellington made a surprising entrance at the Foundation's inaugural event. She approached Maria with measured politeness. You've achieved what none of us were able to, Victoria conceded after a few moments of awkward conversation. You brought him back to life. That wasn't my goal, Maria replied with sincerity. That's exactly why it was successful. Victoria's smile carried a touch of true admiration. I underestimated you, Maria Delgado. It shall not occur once more. As Victoria walked away, Alexander appeared at Maria's side. Everything okay? Just building bridges, Maria replied, leaning into him. Isn't that our current practice? Alexander smiled, appearing more content and at ease than she had ever witnessed before. It's been our way since that very moment you spilled coffee on my suit. The best mistake I ever made, Maria said, rising on tiptoes to kiss him, no longer worried about who might be watching. 2 years later, the afternoon sun streamed through the tall windows of the newly renovated building in Washington Heights, casting a warm glow across the polished floors of the Rebecca Blackwood Educational Center. A vibrant gathering of donors, students, and community members filled the main hall, taking in the impressive classrooms and computer labs. This is where we will provide free citizenship preparation classes, Miguel shared with a group of prospective donors, his confidence shining through as he pointed to a large classroom. Now, in his sophomore year at Columbia's engineering program, he had matured into a confident young man who skillfully balanced his studies with volunteer work at the center. Miguel has a talent for this, Beatrice commented to Maria as they observed from across the room. He brings to mind Rebecca. That same fervor when discussing what truly matters. Maria nodded, still occasionally taken aback by how her bond with her once rival had transformed. He's thinking about changing his minor to nonprofit management. This place has shifted his viewpoint, as it has for many of us, Beatrice noted, tweaking her refined yet understated attire, a stark contrast to the bold designer outfits she used to prefer. The educational center symbolized the result of 2 years of effort merging Alexander's business skills with Maria's insight into the needs of immigrant communities. What had started as a reimagining of Rebecca's foundation had evolved into something neither had initially anticipated, a comprehensive support center providing education, professional training, and community resources. There you are, Alexander remarked, walking towards them with champagne flutes. The mayor just arrived. He's impressed. As he should be, Beatrice lifted her glass. This is what Rebecca always envisioned, yet never had the opportunity to realize. As Beatrice approached other guests, Alexander wrapped his arm around Maria's waist. You ought to feel proud. This was your vision. Our vision, Maria corrected, leaning against him. I couldn't have done this without you. That's not true, he replied, a smile gracing his lips. But I appreciate the sentiment. Oh, look who's here. Victoria Wellington entered the hall, elegant as always, but notably less imperious than she had once been. Following her tabloid-fueled humiliation and subsequent soul-searching, Victoria had gradually found her way back into their social circle, though with a distinctly different approach. The place looks magnificent, Victoria remarked as she joined them. My foundation would like to discuss a potential partnership on the Women's Entrepreneurship Program. We'd welcome that, Maria responded earnestly. As Victoria mingled with other guests, Alexander leaned in close to Maria's ear. Ready to slip away. I have something to show you. He led her through a side door and up to the small office that had become their shared workspace during the center's development. On the desk rested a framed photo from their wedding 6 months prior, a quaint ceremony on the beach at his Hamptons home, with Miguel, Beatrice, and a select few close friends present. "What did you want to show me?" Maria asked, glancing around the familiar room. Alexander pointed to the wall where a simple plaque had been installed beside the office door. It stated, "Maria Delgado Blackwood, Executive Director." "When did you accomplish this?" she asked, touching the engraved letters. "This morning, the board reached a unanimous decision." He grasped her hands gently. "This has always been your endeavor, Maria. I merely provided the financial backing and the network." "You were so much more than that," she said softly. Alexander's phone buzzed. He examined it and smiled. "The caterers require final approval on a matter. I'll be right back." After he left, Maria sat at her desk, reflecting on how much had changed in the 2 years since that fateful coffee spill. Her accounting degree hung on the wall beside a photo of her, Alexander, and Miguel, hiking in the Catskills. On her desk sat the small framed print Alexander had once given her, their first real crossing of boundaries. The door opened and Miguel entered with Beatrice. "Everything's ready," Miguel announced cryptically. "Prepared for what?" Maria inquired. "You'll see," Beatrice responded with an unusual smile. "Alexander is waiting for you in the community room." Curious, Maria followed them downstairs to find the room transformed. The lights were dimmed, candles flickered on tables, and the center's staff and closest supporters stood in a semicircle around Alexander. "What's happening?" Maria whispered to Miguel. 2-year anniversary, he explained. "Of the day you returned his wedding ring, the day everything started." Alexander approached, taking her hand. "You once mentioned that our worlds were too different. You were correct, but not in the manner you assumed." He gestured around them. "We didn't need to choose between worlds. We needed to create a new one together." From behind him, Mrs. Peterson, Maria's former cleaning supervisor and now the center's facilities manager, stepped forward with a beautifully decorated cake. "From coffee spills to cutting cake," Alexander smiled. "Quite a journey." As their gathered friends and family applauded, Maria found herself overwhelmed with emotion. 2 years prior, she was a cleaning woman juggling 2 jobs while striving to complete her degree. Now, she stood as the executive director of a flourishing community center, accompanied by a family she had never envisioned. "Speech," someone called out. Maria surveyed the expressions of those around her. Miguel radiated pride. Beatrice had discovered a new purpose in her support for the center. Even Victoria, whose reluctant acknowledgement had transformed into sincere appreciation. 2 years ago, I was convinced that individuals like us, hailing from diverse worlds and backgrounds, couldn't create something enduring together, Maria began. "I made a mistake. What I've discovered is that genuine connection isn't determined by your background or material possessions. It's about who you decide to be together." She looked at Alexander, his eyes sparkling with the same affection that had initially bridged the gap between cleaning lady and millionaire. "Sometimes the most unexpected beginnings," she murmured gently, "create the most enduring homes."